Hi friends! So I've been yakking a lot about purpose on the blog, so I thought I'd take a minute and run you through how to talk to your kids about purpose, what questions to ask them, how to help them visualize their purpose, the whole process. So the goal of standard education is to become college and career ready. That's the catchphrase, that's all over everything, that's the goal of the traditional form of education, college and career ready. So I got to thinking, is that it? Like, those are great goals, sure, if that's going to serve your purpose, but is that the right path for everyone? And are those our highest aims, essentially, is what I was asking myself. And not that I have anything against those things, it's just that so much of a child's life is spent in pursuit of accomplishing those goals that you have to wonder, are those the most important things? Are those the very highest, is that the very highest level of expectation that we can have from our children? Or is there something more to hope for their lives? And the answer for my family personally was yes, there's something much deeper than just being ready to go to college or ready to enter the workforce. I believe that people are divinely created and each of us has a divine mission from God, and our purpose here is to discover that and live it. And when we do that, we will have lives of joy and happiness and purpose and meaning, and everything will be wonderful and rainbows. Just kidding, not all the time. It'll be a struggle, but you'll be happy through the struggle. All right, so how do you find a purpose? I want you to pick one of your children and close your eyes. We're gonna do some visualization. And I'm in YouTube land, and you're at home sitting on the couch in your pajamas, so I'm not gonna know if you don't awkwardly close your eyes, okay? Do what feels right. So pick one of your kids, and I want you to imagine that this child is now grown up. They're 30, 35, they live on their own, they have their own family, their own house. And you go to visit them one day. When you're getting out of your car, you run into their neighbor, and their neighbor runs down and says, oh, I just want to tell you all about so-and-so, your child. And they begin to describe what your child's is like. I want you to think about this moment and what you would want that neighbor to say about your child. If you had done a flawless job raising and educating your child, what would that neighbor have noticed from living next to them? Okay. You can push pause. It's over here, right? So pause and think about that for a minute. You can even write it down, what those key things would be. All right. So when I first went through this exercise, I thought a lot of different things. One, I was shocked that I'd never imagined this before, or really thought past my child just, learning to read as quickly as possible so he wasn't behind, or really mastering his math facts so that he would get a good grade. Like, we live so much in the immediate and in this world of comparison and academic rigor. Right? And there's plenty of time for that. I'm not down on academic rigor at all. Just saying that there are some things that we can focus on before that get us some really good long-term results. So the long-term results that I'm looking for in my family are that my children will be full of light and happiness. Not just that they'll be happy in their lives, but they will be like exuding joy and gladness and excitement all the time. The people that meet them will think, wow, like, what's different about you? Like, why are you so happy, And I know that happiness and light will come because they will be living their purpose, and they won't feel depressed and burdened by all of the things that they have to deal with in their life, because even if they're struggling, their struggle will have meaning. And I want that light for them in their adult lives, and I'm willing to fight for it now, even when it's hard. So that light is something that I wanted for my kids. I want people to notice that they are disciples of Jesus Christ, that they're focused on their family, that they're focused on serving others, that they're not living lives that are really focused on getting things, but more focused on what can I give. Those are the kind of things that I'm looking for. If a neighbor were to describe my child like that, I would think I was a successful parent. And then you kind of contrast that with, what if that neighbor said to you, I know that your child went to college, or I know that they have a career. They go to work, they come home, they obviously have a career, so you were successful, right, in educating your child. No, you'd want more than that, right? Wouldn't you? I would. So that sounds great, right? just rainbows and light and unicorns all the time, right? But someone has to make money, and someone has to put food on the table and pay for that house, and people like to wear clothes and live inside and eat food, and all of those things cost money, right? So unless we find some magical rainbowy unicorn that's walking around handing out light and happiness and also putting food on the table, we're going to need a different game plan, right? If we want the best of both worlds here. And my message to you today is that you don't need a magic unicorn, you need a magic hedgehog. And if you've never heard of this concept before, it was originated by Jim Collins in his book Good to Great. And it is the idea that if you focus on these 3 areas of your life and figure out what these circles mean to you, which we'll go over in a second, you will be living your personal hedgehog. That's this center area right here that looks like a cute little furry hedgehog where these circles overlap. Okay, so the first circle is passion, and you can ask yourself or your kids questions like, what do you love to do, right? What were you doing last time you totally lost track of time? Or what would you do with or without a paycheck? Things like that. That's a positive passion. Or you can be fueled by what's called a negative passion, like my extreme hatred of child trafficking, right? You can find something that you really want to hate, like illiteracy is something that I don't like. So I work really hard to eradicate illiteracy. And so you can come at passion from both a positive and a negative light. So evaluating that and talking to your kids about that. What do they like? What do they hate? What problems do they want to fix in the world? Things like that. Those are the questions to identifying what your passions are. The next one down here is your potential. What are you genetically encoded to do? What are your raw talents? What are you just really good at? Are you a math person? I'm not. Are you a language person? Maybe. We are all built in incredibly unique and wonderful ways. And what happens is that we put our kids in these highly academic programs very early before they're allowed to discover what their passions and their potentials are. So then they get done when they're 18, jumping through all of these hoops, and they don't know who they are. They don't know what they're good at. They don't know what they want. And that's kind of when they get to be 18, that's the first time they're asking themselves that question, what am I going to do with my life, right? We want to move that back a little bit, maybe like 9, 10, 11, in that range. Let's start talking about it then, and I think we'll get way better results. The third circle is profit. How are you going to add value to the marketplace? Who are you going to serve? How are you going to have value? And when you find the answer to all 3 of these things, you find your personal hedgehog, and then you are living with purpose. And I will link this video of Jim Collins explaining this masterfully. But in the video, he asks 2 questions. The first question is, what percentage of people do you think are living their personal hedgehogs right now? And he guesses maybe probably less than 5%. And I think that even sounds high. I feel like if you're living your hedgehog, you're like 1 in a million or something. So how many people are living their hedgehog? And the second question he asks is, how can we improve that number? How can we increase that number? And in the video, you'll see he doesn't know the answer to that question. But I think that the answer to that question lies in education and helping kids very early. 1, allowing them time to explore their passions and potentials so they know very early why God built them and what he expects them to accomplish in their life. And 2, to encourage them to become lifelong learners, self-motivated learners, because then the speed at which you are able to master information and knowledge that you have a sincere desire for is incredible. You don't have to motivate, persuade, push, coerce a child to learn when they know what they want to learn and you have given them the tools to learn it. It's magic. It's amazing. So, Jim Collins, that's my answer to you. That's the answer. Helping kids earlier understand why they were built, what they're here for. So when they are 9, 10, 11, they're asking themselves those questions. By the time they're 14, they have a lot of knowledge about what they want to do. And by the time they're 18, instead of graduating and asking themselves for the first time in their lives, what am I going to do with my life? They'll know what they're supposed to do with their life. And they'll step into adulthood with purpose and meaning. And that's the path to that magical wonderland of light and happiness as an adult, is living your purpose. It's not having things. It's not having lots of money. It's none of this worldly gobbledygook, as we call it in my house. It's just truth and service and allowing the light that our loving Creator has placed in each of us to shine in the way that He has encouraged us in.